Welcome back to my channel. So today is episode 6 of Jaxon's Cleft journey. This episode is based on finding all the support we did through Cleft Connect Australia, how we found that support, breastfeeding Australia, what he received from Cleft Connect Australia, which we are super blessed to have. This episode will also have his surgery, the leading up to it, and the aftermath of surgery. So let's get into it. As I mentioned in a couple of these episodes, when we were in hospital, Jaxon wasn't breastfeeding. And when we got home, he actually started breastfeeding. Breastfeeding for me was a total breeze. Jaxon loved his booby feeds. We used to call him Booby Monster because he just loved feeding all the time. So breastfeeding was really a breeze, but every now and then when I had a few concerns, I would turn to a Facebook page called Breastfeeding in Australia, which I highly recommend because if you are breastfeeding and you're having a few problems or are concerned about something, someone on that page would always have an answer. And even though it wasn't doctor's answer or a lactation consultant, the answers always seem to help out a hell of a lot. So that was amazing. And when I was on that page, I actually posted something about, I'm pretty sure it was about reaching a goal of breastfeeding, and then my son, how Jaxon was going for surgery. And someone on that page actually commented and introduced me to another group called Cleft Connect Australia, and that is how I got introduced to that page. And I am beyond blessed to be able to now have that support, because before then we had no one to turn to for questions or support with cleft related things, and it was a lot different to just your average baby, obviously. So being introduced to that page was amazing. So I joined that Cleft page and I introduced myself. There was also a part where you sign up for a care package. There were a newborn Cleft package, a palate surgery cleft package, and a lip surgery care package, and I'm pretty sure there was a bone graft one for older clefts. But yeah, so I signed up for that, and I am so happy I did, because that we received Jaxon's Cleft bear, and it is the cutest little thing. He went to the hospital with him throughout his surgery, and this bear, which is a little bit dirty because my son loves it, it just says Cleft Connect Australia on the back, and on the front it says Jaxon's smile makes him cleftastic. And this bear also has the exact same cleft as my little man. So this is something that, although Jaxon doesn't have his full-on cleft no more, he can keep this with him for the rest of his life, and it's amazing and cute. So if you have a cleft bub, I highly recommend Cleft Connect Australia. Also, they do have a page that you can donate to. The link is down below, and it is in every single one of Jaxon's Cleft journey episodes. So yeah, but I am super stoked with this. It is just amazing to have something that reminds us of Jaxon, and also that he can just grow with. So when I was pregnant with Jaxon, I was super anxious that he would look so different to every other baby. And I know that sounds stupid, but mother instincts, I was so worried about not liking the way he looked. And I know that sounds very harsh, but it's very easy to get caught up in all of your emotions, and especially when you don't understand what a cleft is at that stage. So yeah, that was my first instinct, and I think I've already spoke about this in a previous episode. When he was born, all of those thoughts went out of my head, and I thought he was the most precious thing in the world, and he is. So reverse that, leading up to his surgery, I was so goddamn anxious about his looks changing and his appearance changing, and just all those unique features that he had grown with was going to change. I absolutely adored his cleft, because obviously we had never seen him any other way. So it's basically just saying, I'm going to take your baby and change their whole face, because literally you don't think that it would change the whole face, but it really does. I was super anxious to part with it, even though it was myself, but I knew it was the best thing for him. And yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster, because part of you always thinks, no, I want him to stay the same, and then part of you knows what's best and knows it has to happen at some point. So yeah, it was a very emotional roller coaster at that point. So the day before surgery, I got the phone call on what time we had to be there. I'm not exactly sure what time that was anymore, because it was so long ago. And we also got told how long he had to fast for. So if he was drinking formula, he had to fast for a certain amount of time, and if he was breastfeeding, he had to fast for a certain amount of time. There were 2 different times. I'm pretty sure I gave him formula for his last feed before surgery, just so I knew he had drinking a certain amount, but I cannot be 100% sure on that, because again, it was so long ago. So then came surgery day, and leading up to passing him over was the most daunting process ever. We got into day surgery, we checked in, we got seen by the doctors, and then we got sent out into a waiting bay. Out came a group of surgeons. That was his main surgeon that we knew already, and then obviously the other bunch of surgeons that were going to be in there and help him as well. And I remember just holding and clinging onto him for my dear life, and to the point where I couldn't even pass him over to the surgeon. I didn't have the strength to, so I said my goodbyes, I gave him the big cuddle and kisses, and I passed him to Robert. I couldn't do it. Even though Robert had already said his goodbyes, I was like, I can't do it. And because he was so young, to the point that he wouldn't recognize leaving us, they didn't want us to go into the room and see him getting put under. So I think that was very hard as well, like not knowing how it's going to turn out and whatnot. So yeah, I passed him to Robert, and I was like, I can't pass him over, you need to do it. So he obviously passed him over, and I was a bawling mess. I literally walked out of the hospital, didn't go far obviously, because I wasn't game enough to leave the hospital just in case, but I literally bawled my eyes for so goddamn long. But it's okay. I knew he was in safe hands, and I knew it was going to be the best thing for him. A few hours passed, and he had finished up in surgery. We were in another waiting room, and his surgeon popped his head in, and he was like, he did amazing. I think it's a fantastic job. You'll be able to go see him in a minute, and I'll come and see you soon. So that took a lot of pressure off us. Like, that anxious wait and lead up is so stressful. We got told we could go and see him, and we walked out of the room, and the first thing I heard was his cry, and I was like, oh my goodness, my heart. And I walked over to him, and my first reaction at looking at him, I bawled my eyes out again because I'm a blubbering mess. And I thought he looked like a chipmunk because he was still all swollen and had the anesthetic in him still. So I thought he was the cutest little chipmunk ever. But other than that, I was so relieved everything went well. He was very unsettled though after surgery, as you would be. He was obviously in a lot of pain still because they've just took a knife to his face pretty much. So obviously he was in a lot of pain, and straight away I breastfed him and he latched on perfectly. It was a bit tender because of all the stitches and whatnot, but mummy instincts again and pushed through it. I ended up having blood all over my shirt and whatnot from where it had been stitched up. And because of all the anesthetic and having such a big feed afterwards, he ended up throwing up, which they said was perfectly normal. Because of all the anesthetic, but other than that he was doing perfect, besides from the fact of being unsettled. And we actually got to take him home, I think it was roughly 2 hours after his surgery, which was amazing. And another thing, so after surgery he got put into this cute little dressing gown. It is absolutely adorable, and yes, I took it home because we weren't game enough to dress him, so we just wrapped him up in this and they said it was fine. So, and this is something that stays in his memory box because I am that parent. So I am going to end this video here. If you do want to be a part of this cleft journey, I upload every Wednesday, so don't forget to subscribe. And if you really enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye for now.